Hi, Kiba! Welcome back, denizens. JT McRoberts here with you once again, and let's do another Friday night live stream. Because, like Gene Simmons once said, a world without heroes is like a world without sun. You can't look up to anyone without heroes. I apologize for that horrendous rendition of World Without Heroes. But figured we'd just do a little chit chat. Whenever I do these live streams, I just kind of talk about whatever nonsense comes to my head during the week. I've been doing my best to stay offline and have been trying not to interact with a lot of the various communities in which I am a part of, just because I am solely focused on working on my graphic novel, which I want to put into your warm, welcoming hands. But I have to get there first. I'm still doing breakdowns, working my way through it. I just had a little October vacation, spent a lot of time just purely focused on it, but I did not get as much done as I would have liked. So I'm still working. Because of that, I'm just kind of staying offline as much as I can, because it seems like anytime I go online, I try to get into these discussions where I try to be positive and supportive in whatever it is that I'm doing, but I always have a way of annoying people. So this is only one way to put it. I mean, I'll make a post and try to spark a discussion, and invariably someone is always offended by it. But this week I responded to someone else's post and they were offended by it. I'll probably name that person. It's not any sort of call out because I am a fan of their work. But anyway, aside from that, a little preview. I did get my new The Art of Art Adams book in while I was at work, so I'm super excited about that. I will probably put together an unboxing and a little flip through preview to post up in the coming week. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are as well. So a good example, one reason why I'm trying to tone down some of my interactions is I just have a way of pissing people off. I don't always do it on purpose. Like, for example, I was banned from Funny Pages promos, which is not their real name, but if you know who I'm talking about, then you know who I'm talking about. Because I said something about swiping, where I wasn't trying to do like a gotcha kind of moment, but rather I wanted the feedback, because they were talking about, they always brag about swiping and just shamelessly stealing, which is going to lead into our Quentin Tarantino discussion, because Tarantino swipes and he shamelessly steals from everything as well. Yeah, we know Quentin. I mean, Mike White did a video on this a long time ago about how Tarantino ripped off, what was it, City on Fire for Reservoir Dogs, but nobody cares about that. I never really cared about it, though it did make me want to go see City on Fire, because at the time I wasn't really familiar with it. But anyway, I just have a way of annoying people. I said to the Funny Pages promos guys, they went from, they always brag about swiping, and they mentioned somebody swiping from them and recreating stuff that they had done. So I actually asked them about it, and I said, well, do you consider that a ripoff or an homage or something else? I forget what my total comment was. But it wasn't supposed to be a gotcha moment, because I closed it out with a positive, well, if it's well done, I would consider it an homage. And they just banned me. So we cannot reply to their videos anymore. So, hey, that's cool. If you feel that way. You didn't have a problem like stealing everything I said to you when we talked at Heroes Con and using it to fuel like 2.5 months of your videos. So see if I give you content again, or if I buy, one of your trade collections after I've already bought all the flippy floppities. But I'm not bitter about it, but just annoyed. Like, really? You couldn't respond to that? You had to ban me? Okay, fuck you then. But anyway, moving on. So the interaction today, which started the Quentin Tarantino thing, which I had been trying to come up with and with some sort of subject to talk about for the Friday night live stream. And I was drawing a blank because, as I said, I've just been focusing on my graphic novel. I haven't been interacting online because I'm tired of pissing people off and getting people to hate me. You know, I want my message to be one of positivity. Ultimately, you know, I'm not like those fandom menace comic geeks, comic gate doofuses. You know, I don't like to call people out and attack people personally and all this kind of stuff. You know, I think that's just lame. I'd rather talk about the work itself. Though there are some times when I feel like works have misrepresented things that they should not have misrepresented. And, you know, as a fan, of course, I can get deeply offended. Like, I won't talk about some of the things that happen in the Star Wars sequel trilogy because that takes me to a dark, dark place where I say things I don't like to say. Another example of that is Spider-Man One More Day, which is a moment that I really hate. I used to buy Spider-Man religiously from the time I was a kid. I mean, it was my main comic book and superhero. I loved Spider-Man as a kid. I had the action figure. I watched the horrible TV show. I watched the great cartoons. You know, absolutely loved them. And some of my first comic experiences were actually creating 3 issues of my own Spider-Man. I think it was called The Web of the Amazing Spider-Man. I just combined all the Spider-Man titles and just came up with my own. And the entire plot line revolved around Spider-Man meeting all of my heroes and villains. I mean, that was it. He would meet one on this page, beat him up, go to the next page. Here's a new villain. Here's a new hero. There were 3 issues of them. I wish to this day that I still had them all. But while I was away at school, my mom cleaned out my desk for some reason and took all of the art that I had archived there. It was my archive. I was saving that stuff. And she put it all in the trash, including all 3 issues of The Web of the Amazing Spider-Man. Lost to antiquity. They'll never be seen now. And the third example of pop culture things that annoy me, misrepresentations that annoy me, come in one of my favorite movies, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right there. If you're not familiar with my thoughts on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I do encourage you to check out MVP Mutant Radio, where we reviewed it at the time of its release. I gave it a 10 out of 10 stars. Absolutely love the film, except for the Bruce Lee portrayal in it, which is stupid and lame and idiotic and short-sighted. And yeah, I hate that part. Love the movie, but I hate that part. So unfortunately, I'm a fan of a lot of people, but I don't want to put it that way. I'm not unfortunately, I'm a fan of this person, but you know, but an individual that I'm a fan of, I'll just go ahead and say his name because this is not a call-out video. I'm a fan of their work all the way back to Ash. This is the cool stuff inside the Blu-ray, in case you've never seen that. Is Jimmy Palmiotti. Okay, so he posts that he loves Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, loves everything about it. So I thought I would respond to him, and I said, I love it too. Saw it when it came out. It instantly became my favorite Quentin Tarantino film, even with that lame Bruce Lee scene. And even as I typed that in, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make him mad. I've been trying to stay offline all week long because I'm tired of pissing people off. And I don't lean enough into pissing people off, like to make money from it, you know, like the CG people, where that's all they do is just grift endlessly off of spewing nonsense directed at people. You know, I don't lean enough into it. And I don't want to. I'm just not that person. But anyway, I just thought, you know, I shouldn't say that, but I cannot mention Once Upon a Time in Hollywood without saying something about that portrayal. I mean, I fucking hate it. I hate it. And I'll debate anybody over it. You can bring Jimmy Palmiotti. You can bring Quentin Tarantino. You guys can tag team. And you can bring in, we can do a trios title match. You can bring Joe Quesada because he can still catch these verbal hands for one more day. You know, I'll debate all 3 of you over it. Okay, now I know Palmiotti's never going to see this. Plus, the dude he wanted life and he could care less about what I have to say. You know, I mean, he gets to make comic books for a living, and he's married to a wonderful woman who also makes comic books. I mean, what more can you ask for? So Palmiotti doesn't respond to me. One of his followers responds to me and says, you know, they talk more about that Bruce Lee scene in the novelization. Well, I have the novelization, but I haven't read it because I've just been embroiled in writing ever since it was released. So I have it. I want to read it, okay? But, you know, I have a problem with Tarantino's representation of Bruce Lee in it, you know. And after I responded to the guy that responded to me, where I pointed out that I haven't read it yet, but, you know, this portrayal is part of Tarantino's ongoing agenda to denigrate Bruce Lee and to lift up Sonny Chiba. I don't know why he cannot be a fan of both. I'm a Sonny Chiba fan. You know, honestly, I'd never heard of Sonny Chiba until Quentin Tarantino's script for True Romance. I watched True Romance, and, you know, Clarence is talking about Sonny Chiba. If you're not familiar with that, we'll talk about it now. So Clarence is talking to this lady in the bar, says, how about you go to the movies with me tonight? What are we going to see? A Sonny Chiba triple feature. The Street Fighter, Return of the Street Fighter, and Sister Street Fighter. Who's Sonny Chiba? Clarence says, who is Sonny Chiba? He is, bar none, the greatest actor working in martial arts movies today. You want to take me to a Kung Fu movie? 3 Kung Fu movies. Okay, so, number one, Sonny Chiba is not the greatest actor working in martial arts movies today, okay? And most of his fight scenes, though, they are good, they are entertaining, but they're also a little bit wacky. Honestly, I think probably his best work is in The Power of Aikido, where Chiba actually plays the heavy. He plays the bad guy. He plays a karateka that is the rival to Morihei Ueshiba, O-sensei, the founder of Aikido, or Aikido as we call it. So anyway, I think that's actually his best portrayal in any film. And he has... you know, he does some great karate stuff in that, and I am an actual karateka, so I feel like I can, you know, comment on those kind of things, okay? So Palmiotti comes back to me and he says, well, did you see that it was titled Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? It's his fairy tale. He can give his representation of it. Well, yeah, well, listen, dude, it could be his fairy tale, and for one thing, it's not, he doesn't care anything about a fairy tale, okay? He just wanted to steal that Once Upon a Time title. He's been wanting to use that for years because of Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America. You know, and he was always jealous that Robert Rodriguez got to use Once Upon a Time in Mexico first as part of his trilogy. And this is something that they talked about in an interview where Tarantino and Rodriguez talked about this and how Once Upon a Time should always be your third movie in a trilogy. Well, Tarantino doesn't have the balls, apparently, to make any sort of trilogy, so he just jumped to that title, Once Upon a Time. Like a lot of his work, even though I'm a Tarantino fan, you know, he ripped off the title, basically. But if he's going to use an iconic character like Bruce Lee, you're going to get blowback. If you're going to misrepresent him or just show like one facet of this iconic individual who is so multifaceted. Yeah, he was a martial artist. Yes, he could be arrogant, but he also he fought to change Asian representation on television, in cinema. He taught Americans, he taught Guaylo, you know, he taught outside of the Chinese race martial arts, which was something that he himself caught, you know, flack for from the Chinese martial arts community. You know, so if you're gonna basically misrepresent an iconic figure, you're gonna get blowback. And I feel like every time I mention Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I have to say something about that scene. That's me, okay? I wasn't trying to bring Jimmy Palmiotti down. If you actually do see this, I apologize if I bummed you out or whatever. But you know, it is what it is. You're allowed to watch it, enjoy it, love it, not care about that Bruce Lee scene. Fine. Me, I'm tired of Tarantino's agenda. And yes, it's an agenda. It goes all the way back to True Romance. Where you're saying, well, where do you get this? He doesn't say anything about Bruce Lee in that. Okay, well, let's fast forward just a little bit. Kill Bill. We won't even go over the fact that Kill Bill is a huge ripoff of Lady Snowblood. Huge ripoff. Like, even actual camera angles. Like, I couldn't believe how much is actually ripped off from Lady Snowblood. But, you know, I recently saw somebody posting about Uma Thurman's yellow striped jumpsuit in that. Is there any more iconic look than this? And Quentin Tarantino created this. And it's like, whoa, slow your roll, baby. That's the Bruce Lee jumpsuit from Game of Death, okay? That's why it's iconic. That's who made it iconic, so that Tarantino came along to steal it and repurpose it, okay? And I take in so much media and information through interviews, whether it's reading or seeing something online or watching television or, documentaries or what have you. And at some point, Tarantino was asked about Bruce Lee, and he basically just said point blank, I like Bruce Lee exploitation films better. They're all better than Bruce Lee's movies to me. Which, okay, yeah, you like that. But dude, they're all better than Enter the Dragon. Bullshit! Fuck you, Tarantino. He's not going to see this either, so it's not like I'm going to ruin this guy's life. But yeah, fuck you, dude. Enter the Dragon? Yeah, you could say they're better than maybe The Big Boss, which is, cheesy or whatever. You could say it's better than The Chinese Connection, which is very much targeted towards that audience. You could say it's better than Return of the Dragon, which was Bruce Lee's directorial debut and has its own rough edges, even though it has that classic iconic battle with Chuck Norris. But Enter the Dragon is an undeniable masterpiece. It's even one of AFI's top 100 films of all time. Anytime that it's almost like Roadhouse, and anytime it comes on, if it's on, you will sit there and watch it. It is almost impossible to turn off, and it just blows. You just go with it. I mean, it just blows right by, and you enjoy everything about it. So this is how I'm starting to put this together. So he never at any point during Kill Bill's promotion says, yeah, I really dug that. Bruce Lee is a big favorite of mine. No. So we put that piece together with what? With the Sonny Chiba stuff. And who else appeared in Kill Bill? Sonny Chiba. Right, exactly. So that's how I put all this stuff together. Because a lot of Tarantino's characters are actual mouthpieces for him. They just say stuff that he believes. Like, I guarantee you, at some point, Tarantino was in a bar somewhere, he saw a hot chick, and he thought, you know what, it'd be really cool if I could go over and just impress her with my Sonny Chiba knowledge, And that's Tarantino. Sorry if I'm moving my hair, but, I don't want it to fall in my face and look like a complete and total scrub. But anyway, so I responded to this guy. I said, I love the movie, but I'm a longtime Bruce Lee fan too, and I can think of a million better ways to accomplish the exact same scene. Like, for instance, there's a little piece of reality in that particular scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Bruce Lee did have some sort of encounters with the great legendary stuntman and martial artist Judo Gene LaBelle, who did stunts all across film and cinema, television and cinema, okay? I mean, he was a stuntman in The Green Hornet, and, he introduced Bruce to some of the finer arts of grappling, But rather than show, some of the reality of that, and even showing where, like, Bruce would turn and learn from somebody, he just shows him as an arrogant ass. I mean, it's just stupid, and to me it shows his agenda. And ever since that even came out, he's never once said, yeah, well, I'm a Bruce Lee fan too. No, he's never said that. He's just always said, well, I needed Bruce Lee to show that he was tough. I'm forgetting the character's name right now. Cliff was tough, okay? He was like, that was the only way I could do it. I was like, really? You could have just had, like, Bruce Lee just beat the absolute crap out of him, and he just kept coming back and coming back and coming back until Bruce was like, I just give up. But, I mean, there's a million ways that they could have done it. But he did not want to do it. And, and instead he's got this agenda to tear down Bruce Lee and do whatever he can to steal from him. Just like he tried to steal the iconic yellow jumpsuit. Now he's trying to steal Bruce's reputation, basically, you know. And then the fight scene itself, you know, I want to do a breakdown here on the channel, but it'll probably get zapped and taken down. I won't be able to dissect the actual fight scene. Maybe if I do it with still photos and I can just, you know, step my way through it, maybe I can do that. But that's a whole lot of effort for these videos that are supposed to be, you know, really quick and easy to make. You know, I'd like to do a breakdown of it, but the way that they actually physically accomplish the fight, I mean, it's like he has Cliff Booth doing stuff like what in martial arts we would call trapping, or, you know, in Jeet Kune Do or whatever, where he's getting grabbed and stuff, and he has Cliff just grabbing Bruce and throwing him around like bullshit like that. This Bruce's literal specialty. At least do your fucking homework, Tarantino, and learn something about the actual arts. That's what made me realize, like, Tarantino doesn't even know jack shit about martial arts. He just watches bullshit movies, and that's where he gets all of his information from, which means he can't fight either. So anyway, that was my week. I've been spending weeks trying not to piss people off. Wound up pissing off somebody I didn't want to piss off today. But, you know, those things happen. And because of that, I come and I make videos to talk about it. So, I'm glad that Shannon Lee is having the new, like, House of Lee movie made, or there's a couple different projects. It's like House of Lee, and then Ong Lee is doing like a Bruce Lee film where he's been training, where he's had his son in training and all this kind of stuff. So I'm glad that stuff is coming out, and it will hopefully, you know, continue the Bruce Lee legacy and introduce it to a new generation that's not familiar with the greatness of Bruce Lee, who was all these amazing things, from being an actor to a brilliant martial artist to an amazing philosopher. I mean, his philosophies that he expounded upon in the Tao Jeet Kune Do, I mean, some of those are life-changing for me. You know, I really carry them, the whole be like water and stuff. I mean, some of that obviously is derivative perhaps of like the Tao Te Ching. You know, there's a lot of watery, flowy stuff in that, but Bruce was his own man. Mind you, he wasn't perfect. I mean, there's a lot of interesting information that's come out since then that I thought was pretty shocking. But, you know, to really present him in just such a one-dimensional way was really annoying to me. And anyway, so, hey, Palmiotti, sorry you got your hackles up over it, dude, but whatever. You, Tarantino, Casada, y'all can come debate me anytime. You can find me here at Heroes, where I've met you before. Like I said, I've been a fan of Ash all the way back, or the work on Jonah Hex, you know. So I'm a fan, but I'll also give you guys a total verbal beatdown if you need one. All in the spirit of good fun, of course. And I still feel like Tarantino should repent and do a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and call it Once Upon a Time in Hong Kong, and have Cliff and I'm trying to think of the character's name now, Leonardo DiCaprio, where they go to Hong Kong to make movies, and they wind up saving Bruce Lee from dying at the hands of Tong assassins. So if you're going to rewrite history, at least do something and make it cool. Make the whole movie about their interaction with Bruce Lee, and that way they'll get a chance to, you know, show the philosophical side as well, not just this arrogant jerk side that they wanted to show, that he wanted to show. Because Tarantino thinks, you know, he's still got a case of the red ass because Sonny Chiba was never as popular and never will be. I am sorry, dude. He will never be, no matter what you do, he will never be as popular as Bruce Lee. It's just not going to happen. Because number one, he's not a martial artist of that level. Number two, he's not a philosopher of that level. Number three, Bruce was even inspirational in the bodybuilding circles. I had no idea, like the things that he developed and and cultivated, the exercises and techniques and whatnot, and the way he developed his body. Like, it didn't have effect on me, but I'm old and broken down at this point, so, you know, what can I do? But anyway, so that's my suggestion to Tarantino, how he should repent, is Once Upon a Time in Hong Kong. Do that. I would love to see more adventures with these guys, and I would love to see you redeem yourself from this shameful portrayal of Bruce Lee. So there you go. that's just one of the things that raises my hackles. I still love the movie. Like I said, it's my favorite. For the longest time, I could always say Reservoir Dogs was my favorite Tarantino film. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did it for me. I had absolutely no expectations going into it, and I instantly loved it, except for that one aspect. But anyway, I still enjoy the film. Hopefully you will enjoy the film regardless. But I just wanted to share a little bit of what I consider my insight into how that came about, and why Tarantino has this bizarro world agenda. Like, he hasn't even apologized to Shannon Lee at some point. He's basically just like, deal with it, which was kind of like Palmiotti's response. Well, he can do whatever he wants, so deal with it. So whatever, dude. Like, if people they only ever respond to me with something negative, like never anything positive, generally give them an unfollow. So you got to unfollow coming your way, but I'm sure you'll survive without me amplifying your Kickstarters or doing any kind of retweets for you. Like I said, you already are winning at life because you get to do what you love, making comics, and you got an awesome wife. So congrats to you, and keep that up. But I'll see you around. Find me at Heroes if you guys want to catch a verbal beat down. And Funny Pages promos can catch these verbal hands too. I got enough for everybody. And that's why this is called Comic-Jutsu. Though I want to be positive. That wasn't a very positive message, but what can you do? We have to be honest about things sometimes, And I have to be honest about my dislike of this portrayal in this particular film. So that's about all I have to say on this particular live stream. I wanted to go a little bit into DC's adoption of the smaller size graphic novels, because I think that's very interesting. That's something I talked about on a previous live stream, but maybe we'll save that for an upcoming live stream. And I'm getting the Comic Book Dojo episodes back on track. It's just a matter of trying to find the right one. I mean, I could literally release one every week, but they are not drawing the numbers in terms of views. I've got to get the next Invisibles breakdown put together, because that does draw some views, because people like to see videos about Grant Morrison's work in the Invisibles, which is probably still my all-time favorite comic book. So anyway, I know what I'm talking about because I have a classic Iron Fist sippy cup. Jelly much? There you go. And I'm about blown out because of this light, but what can you do? What can you do? Anyway, that's enough for me. I'm going to head back into the vault, turn around, get back to work on these roughs, start inching my way towards Bethlehem so I can get this book done, out into your hands so people can ignore it and I can go on with my life. But at the end, I will say, you know what? I made the book that I wanted to make, didn't sell out, didn't compromise, own my own properties. Not a bestseller, but it's mine. There you go. That's my message to you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, Kiba!